back again. So yeah, let's listen to some music. I'm excited about this. Let's do this. So first, couple things I always like to say. First off, it's always just my opinion. One person in a sea of many people in the industry that you could be getting feedback from. Hopefully you find what I say helpful. If you don't, take what I say, take what you want to hear, and throw out the rest. It's not a big deal to me. And please don't take any of this personally. It's just my opinion from the perspective of somebody who's trying to be helpful from the side of licensing. So, and just as like in songwriting in general. The other thing I want to say is, and just fair warning with this, I think what we've decided to do is, we're probably going to figure out some way to more curate this experience so that what I'm finding is that the last few weeks that I've been doing this, I've been giving a lot of the same types of feedback, especially for songs that are like were produced like much like longer than like 6 months ago. And what we want to do is give more and more feedback now that we're in the process of especially with the people in the August cohort that are in active process of producing stuff. We want to make sure that all the folks that are producing things, we can get as much feedback as possible to people that are like working on songs and like here want to get this little more directed the way it needs to go. So what I'm probably going to be doing in the weeks to come is probably going to be just like straight up skipping some stuff that's older. And what I'm going to do, here's like the trade with that though, is I've got like, I literally have weeks and weeks worth of notes that I've given people. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that all in a neat sheet, kind of the stuff that I'm seeing like that happens a lot, and kind of like put together like a little tips guide, just kind of in general feedback and things you kind of want to look out for with your songwriting and maybe the way in which you had in the past been writing and producing stuff. So I think it's going to be a really helpful resource for everybody. But I've gotten enough feedback. I got a ton of feedback from the people that were at the Taxi conference, and as well, just like feedback from students directly as well. Just like basically voicing that it would be great to get a little bit more of the stuff that's like recent. So yeah. So I'm not going to do it this week, but starting next week, I'm probably going to go through, and if I don't do it beforehand, we'll just be I'll be a little bit as I'm going through, just checking to see like how old the song is. If it's older than 6 months, probably going to skip to the next one just so that we can get, like I was saying, like more immediate feedback for stuff that is like written specifically for sync, and yeah, not stuff that was like from like back catalog or stuff like that. So so yeah, that's all I got to say. Let's jump into hearing some songs here. And like I said, I'm going to start doing that next week. I'm just going to screen everything as usual this week. Just fair warning. Here we go. Where are we? Let's get this going. Listening session. Here we go. Got the songs. First up, we got Andrew Hicks is up first. And by the way, as always, there's just so many songs we go through. If there's any song that I have that I've screened before, just let me know, and we will skip past it. But sometimes it's hard for me to remember. Somebody told me like last at the Taxi conference that I screened a song twice. It's all good. It happens to me. I'm a human being. I make mistakes sometimes. It's hard for me to remember all the stuff that I listen to. I'm constantly listening to music. So Andrew Hicks, you are up first. Let's get this going. Looks like this is something from June of 2019. It looks like 100-day project. Looks like this might have been like some type of songwriting challenge where they were writing 100 songs in 100 days or something. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Let's see. So let's see how this. Get this over here. Oh yeah, I want to copy just as always, so that we have the songs if people want to check them out later. We can do that. All right, I'll get that document going. I'm like the king of Windows here. It's like, I need 2 screens. All right, here we go. There we go. We got that now. And let's share the screen. Okay, there we go. Share the computer sound. Here we are. Yeah, that feels like a cool little cue there. I really like the sounds of it, and I love how slowly it builds up. I think it's really nice. The thing I would say is it has kind of a synthy, kind of edgy kind of vibe in a way when it starts up, and then when it comes in with kind of like I was expecting it maybe to be a little edgier when some drum stuff kind of came in. It felt little kind of like what you would expect a little bit to me. And maybe it didn't build up enough. But it's a pretty short cue. But you could easily see something like this building up like much faster and then getting much, much bigger and then coming to a stop. I would just say like it's a cool start, but I think like just in terms of like cues that my kind of like concept of what seems to work with cues is like to have a much bigger dynamic change. It would be good to see like how you could continue to develop this. I'm guessing since this is like day 78 of 100 that this was like kind of put together quickly. And I would say like, if that's what this is, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty cool, man. So yeah, I think there's certainly like a lot of work out there that's available. There's tons of libraries that you can work with, and they're looking for cues of all types. But I think like, more of the cues that I've heard, it's like there's a little bit more of a dynamic change in them for stuff where you do end up like starting to build in drums. But I'm not an expert in library music at all. So maybe there is like room for like a softer cue like this. But I think it's cool. I think it's great. Nice job. That's the only thought I would have is like maybe there's some way you can make it a little edgier when it comes in, and then maybe have a little bit bigger dynamics with it when it does what it does build up to could be much, much bigger. Rad. That was a good way to start things off. So that was cool. Who's next? All right, so next up we got Tom Quakey. This is Song in Progress, current mix, pre-mastered. What changes might be needed to make the song more sync-worthy? Okay, cool. Looks like some type of a holiday song. We're gonna mute that for right now. Here we go. I own 7 ball caps, including this one, which is given to me by Ben Drysdale. Appreciate it. It's awesome. It came all the way over the pond, I guess, to the Taxi Road Rally to find me. I was really, really appreciate it. And then yeah, I've got like probably about 6 others, I think. And then I've got like a fedora. I've got a Superman beanie, and I've got a few other hats too. All right, next up, let's get this thing going because I know y'all don't want to hear me talk about my hats. You'd rather hear music. So let me just get this because I'm terrible at multitasking and I will forget stuff if I don't do this. Here we go, boom. All right, let's give it a listen.
Hugs for the holidays, hugs for the hugs for the holidays, 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 giving you love to take away. I hear the sounds of our celebration. Music is playing all day long. All your friends and their appreciation. It's a good company. We're here in glory, here in gratitude, 'cause we're friends. for the holidays, giving you love to take away. We're here in for the holidays. We're here in glory, 'cause we're friends. It's a good company. In glory, bring gratitude.
Okay. Yeah. So some of the structure of the song felt a little not getting enough cues on some of the transitions so much. I feel like it kind of goes along and doesn't like kind of give clear cues. Oh, here it comes. Here comes the chorus or things like that. I feel like dynamically there could be some more interest there in terms of like just guiding the listener a little bit more through the song. I feel like it certainly has like some of the like trademark Christmas jingly bells. I think the thing, I mean, I love the sentiment of it. It's great. I feel that like part of what's not working for it though is there's like, I feel like some of the vocals are maybe a little bit too, they're not lined up very well. Like some of the stacks, you hear some of the end consonants flamming with each other. It sounds a little sloppy. And then some of the vocals, I especially noticed at the beginning, are just out of the pocket. So they're not like tightly in the rhythmic pocket. So they just sound a little loose. And then the other thing with the vocal, I don't know what's going on with the vocal, the way it's being, I don't know if it has to do with the way it was recorded or just the way it's being treated, or if it's just something that the singer has that needs to, it just might be something that the singer has, but there's like a pronounced kind of lisp with the vocal. And I think it could be that maybe you're hitting the de-esser too hard, but I just notice it throughout the entire track, and it's a little distracting to me. Yeah, and I think that the holiday percussion is a thing that you got to be a little careful with, because when it's a loop, it sounds like it's a loop. There was one part in the track where the track kind of stopped, but the loop kind of kept going, and it kind of sounded a little mechanical. It's like kind of the part of the dynamics you want to build with a song like this is have like kind of natural like starts and stops. Like I think holiday music for the most part, especially when it's this song is not like a new electronic kind of version of a holiday song. It's like trying to fit into the mold of like the classic kind of Christmas song. Then it's got to kind of feel like it's an acoustic performance, even if you're using loops. So when like there's track stops, you got to kind of stop the jingles or program them so that it's a little bit more smooth when they come in and they come out. And if you have real jingle bells, use them. Yeah, that's my thoughts on this in terms of like how you could tighten up something like this. I think like the top line is just a hair busy. And that's part of maybe why the transitions, it's not very clear to me when the transitions are coming and when they're not. It makes it harder to kind of cue that up when the vocals as active as it is throughout the song. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely like in the ballpark of what you want a holiday song to have in terms of like the instrumentation and everything. I just think that there's some more care that needs to be taken with the vocal in particular, and maybe with the structure of everything. It kind of, or it could be, I couldn't tell, like I kept skipping around because it was hard for me to tell like one part of the song from another. So I was kind of looking for like what are the things that make it distinctive from like one place to another. So yeah, I think that's anytime I'm searching around for that could be what I'm looking for, is just like I was trying to figure out like, well, what makes one part of the song different than the other, and it was hard for me to do that. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. Thanks for sharing it. Yeah. Oh yeah, and of course I apologize, Lori. Thanks for delivering the hat to me. I sure appreciate it. That you grabbed the hat on behalf of Ben and delivered it over to me. I sure appreciate that too. I loved it. It was so fun, like talking to everybody who was at the taxi conference. So thank you so much for the hat and for just your company there. It made me feel really warm. I kind of felt like a rock star there. It's fun. All right, so we'll move on. Let's keep going. Let's listen to some more music. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Lori, I didn't realize it was also your idea. So like, I don't want to give credit to Ben to either. So I'm getting some like private messages here. I just want everybody to know I give full credit to everybody who was involved with this hat. Thank you. I love the hat. Okay, it was Ben's idea. All right, well, fair enough. What do we got next? Next up, we got Janine Barr. Hang on a sec. Let me search and make sure. Got any other? I did forget to check this earlier. Okay, this looks like the only song she has in the queue. Janine Barr, you're next. Believe it or not, I actually don't need a didgeridoo. I think it's hilarious that y'all still keep referencing that. The didgeridoo reference. There's somebody who's killing it. They're like the pro didgeridooer. Didgeridooer. All right, another bad dad joke. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Let me copy and paste this over. Yeah, I got to do this real quick. Telescopic one. All right, let's go to the song. Here we go. All right, Full Moon. Cool.
I've heard tales about the man in the moon, seen the kid fishing from the sickle. Are they alone? Is there another up there? Maybe a lady. There's a full moon in the sky. There's a full moon fills my eyes. This moonshine leaves me with a drunken glow. No dark side lurking behind it. The tides of life ebb and flow. Where's the lady? There's a full moon in the sky. La, 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 la.
Cool. I love songs about the moon. I love nighttime kind of vibes. I love the so it definitely sounds like a kind of a classic folk kind of song. Yeah, I really loved there's the part the full moon, like the chorus. There was like a really kind of pretty reverb in the background there. I liked that. Kind of the vibe that the track was creating was kind of cool to me in that moment. I felt like that was my favorite moment in the whole track was when the full moon sang that, and then there's kind of like this opening in the background. When I was talking about like depth and space that you can create in your tracks, kind of like what I'm talking about. You want to kind of create these, and it also kind of, I think for when I talk about like I think that making moments in your songs is like really important, and I feel like this track does that. It makes some moments, sets up some cool moments there. I think that the thing that's going to be tricky for a song like this when it comes to licensing is like the super specific lyrics in the verses are going to make it hard to like really place it to a scene. So, and the trick is, here's the thing that's kind of tough about it is you got to be not too specific, but also the lyrics have to be super fresh. And I think that the song probably needs help on both of those fronts. It's maybe a little too specific and the lyrics aren't quite fresh enough. I feel like I've heard kind of this sentiment about the moon and being drunk off the moon, and just kind of some of the ways in which it was being described. It was very conversational, which I liked. I really liked kind of the conversational aspect of the song. But I feel like there needs to be kind of a fresher approach to the writing on it, that can kind of help it to say things in like a way that we haven't heard before. And I think, like, you know, if you're looking for people who do this like masterfully, I always point to Ingrid Michaelson. I think she's great at like taking stuff that's like cliche, simple, conversational, and finding cool ways to kind of twist it so that it's like it's more intriguing, more interesting, and it kind of draws you in and keeps you interested lyrically. As far as, I think that's about it. And also just that the classic folk vibe of this is going to be, I also don't see a ton of like briefs looking for this kind of music. So the other thing I would say is to maybe dial in your references a little bit. I'd be curious to know what your references are when you wrote this song. It looks like it was written before the course started, so for the August cohort. So it's probably understandable that your writing would be maybe not targeting a specific marketable reference, but I would just keep your eyes set on like what is working in the modern licensing world when you're writing, and then when you write songs that work in that context, you're gonna give yourself a better chance of ending with a result that you can pitch and have some traction with. So thanks for sharing it, though. Like I said, I love the vibe of it. There were a couple cool moments there. Thanks for sharing that. All right, next up, we got Robbie Schaefer here. Looks like sending in something. They're asking if it's sync worthy, looking for constructive criticism. Okay, cool. Just go ahead and pause that. Oh, hang on. We gotta move this out of here and then copy and paste this link. I swear I don't talk to myself this much all the time. Sometimes I just have to walk myself through these things, though. There's something bizarre, slightly bizarre about it. It's so funny. I don't really think about it because I've been doing it for quite some time now, but just like, if I didn't see your faces and I didn't know that there were people across the camera from me, it'd be almost like I'm just sitting here talking to myself for an hour and a half. It's just hilarious. Kind of cracks me up to think about it. All right. Yeah. Good to know that I have a brain that's like somewhat working, right? Good thought process or whatever. Okay, let's pop this open and give it a spin. Here we go.
It's my time, I got my peace of mind. Rolling out Republic, got my favorite boots, I'll shine a great light. So going my way, I guess you're loving what I'm doing, cause that's how I'm getting paid. Well, alright. Ain't this the best time you ever had in your shoe? Your magic shoe. Well, it's peace, the universal dream, so we could work it all together to get rid of all the sin. Well, okay, don't have to be like me. You could be cool in your own skin and be good company. Well, alright, take this flight. Ain't this the best time you ever had in your shoes? Your magic shoes. Well, love and life, there's no time to hate. We can settle all our differences. It's time to mitigate, but we can fly even higher. We can all be confident that we ain't jumping in no fire. Alright, let's take this flight.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's super quirky. Like, definitely like a unique type of song. I feel like, you know, I was instantly kind of like, oh, this is not like. It's hard for me to categorize it a little bit. It feels like it's got some classic rock kind of vibes to it. It's got some acoustic rock kind of vibes to it, and it's got like maybe trying to borrow a little bit of like modern kind of flow with the lyrics and the vocal on it, which I think, you know, I think this is going to be a tough song to, you know, I feel like the things that I'm thinking with a song like this, that are kind of going to make it hard for me for a licensing angle is kind of just the production sound that you're getting is not, it's not really hitting like a particular reference that I'm hearing. It feels like it's kind of drifting between like kind of classic rock and like kind of acoustic rock. Um, and some of the sounds that especially like the acoustic sound kind of has that electric acoustic kind of sound, that was very popular maybe 15 years ago or something like that. It's got like kind of a, so in a way, it's got kind of a dated sound to it, even if it kind of blends a couple different styles together. I just don't see a lot of references that are looking. I actually don't see any references that are looking for this kind of music right now. So I guess that's like the first concern I have is like, what are your references with this? Just to get like kind of on target. In terms of like the lyrics, it's like, I feel like it's kind of the same thing that I've said a number of times. Like I feel like there's probably a fresher way of like saying what it is that you're saying. I feel like in particular, like the ones where you're kind of like, it sounds like this song has moments where it's trying to have like kind of swagger and kind of have, you know, like an attitude, like, you know, I got it going on. It's like, I think that there's like probably a more creative way of saying it than some of the lyrics are kind of conveying. And then the other thing that for me, the vocal kind of needs to kind of sell it more. I feel like the way the vocal's sung, it feels a little too laid back, for the content of the lyrics, and also just to the track. So it's like you'd expect a song with like the kind of the content of the lyrics for the vocal to be a little more energetic, and that's just my thoughts on it. The drum samples, I'm pretty sure these are sampled drums. If they aren't, then that's my bad. But it sounds like the drum sound isn't really like gluing together, and it's also like maybe if these are drum samples, maybe you need to kind of evaluate your drum samples, like the ones you're picking, because they aren't really like kind of mixing together. Like it feels like, I think as a whole, like the rhythm section in particular, but this also applies to the entire kind of mixture of it all, that when you're cooking it together, it's like sometimes you cook things and then it's just like one thing's a little bit off, and it's maybe like, I don't know enough about baking. I've watched the British Baking Show, like I've watched every single episode of that, but I'm trying to make like a baking analogy here, and I'm failing kind of miserably. But the whole idea is like if you put a little bit too much of this in there and you put a little bit too much of that in there, it makes it even like, you know, twice as like not the way that you're intending it. And I think what's happening here is you're taking kind of some blending some styles together. You're taking some stuff that's not really working together, and it's not really gelling. I think like as a cohesive song, it's kind of like the production, and it has a lot to do with the production, but it also has to do with the writing. That I think it's interesting, like it's a very quirky kind of song. There's some cool parts to it. I'm not sure what the reference is with this, the marketable reference that you're shooting for with this, in terms of what types of alts you would maybe be replacing with this, or just kind of like what your artist angle is, if you're just more going for like an artist angle, and then kind of work that. So those are the questions that I would take when going back to kind of the drawing board, or if you just want to take this further, like kind of what I would suggest doing with it. Yeah, you know, it's like I said, the song instantly kind of like piqued my curiosity, though. I like it when people try to like blend different styles together, and you know, it's just, it isn't quite like gluing all together for me, but I appreciate the intention with this, and you know, like to hear how it turns out for you. So thanks for sharing it. Let's make sure I put that on the list. Where is that? Yep, got it. All right, cool. Okay, next up we got Katie Burke. Let's check and see if you have anything newer. I think you might. Actually, this is it. Okay. This is a SoundCloud link, so it's probably going to play on, hang on a sec. All right. This looks like a work tape. All right, fair enough. Cool. Let's give it a spin. Boom. Okay. All right, coming at you.
Look at me, I came into this world. I got two really nice folks and some fur taking care of me. How can it be? They appear like magic, and when I cry at night, they sing away my tragedies. When I need an empty belly full, there's nothing left to eat. Oh, their love is all I need. When I try talking, they say, baby, you got the stuff. And I babble away, and they congratulate my love. When I try walking, well, I just want to give up. And they hold my hands, and suddenly I'm standing up. When I need an empty belly full, there's nothing left to eat. Ooh, their love is all I need. I said, ooh, your love is all I need. I said, ooh, your love is all I need.
Yeah, I really love your voice. Your voice is really cool. And I talk about using vibrato and how it can kind of date a sound of a vocalist. I think this is one of those rare occasions where I think that the vibrato that you're employing is really effective and cool, because it's not, the way you're writing is a little different. Like if you were singing kind of a ballad and you were doing that, it's like kind of like a quivery kind of vibrato. It's really cool. And I think your guitar playing, yeah, the guitar sounded on point. Yeah, I think your guitar playing is pretty good. And I think the thing that I was wondering to myself is like, you got some really cool vocal hooks here too. The thing that was hard for me to follow the structure of your song a little bit. And maybe you could work a little bit on the structure of things. Because it kind of felt like you just kind of kept going, which I mean, your voice is cool, but I feel like the story of the song is good, but maybe there's a way in which you can kind of repeat some things a little bit more. It was hard for me to kind of grasp like where I was in the song. That's kind of the thing. I mean, I really liked, you've got some cool hooks. Like I even thought that little vocal thing you did at the very beginning was cool. It's like, I was kind of wondering why those didn't come back. I think if you kind of took a step back and tried to kind of play in the sandbox of what people typically expect with the structure of a song, you may find that a song like this could be even more effective than it already is. Yeah, that's my thought on it. Also, I felt like overall it felt a hair, and it just sounds, I mean, it's a work tape. So I felt like overall it feels a hair rushed, just in terms of the timing of it all. I feel like you could probably, slow it down a hair. I would play around with the BPMs on that and see what's a more comfortable thing. You could also play around with the key a little bit. There were a couple of moments later on in the song where I felt like things were getting a little pitchy, maybe in a way that it might work better if you brought it down half a step or a whole step. I'd be curious to hear what that sounded like if I was working with you. And Yeah, but I think it's there's obviously some really good vocal talent here, and I really like your hooks, and I like some of the lyrics too. Some of the lyrics are good. I just feel like for a song like this, it'd be easier for me to kind of remember it if I had a little bit more. I'm somebody who likes repetition of stuff, and I like to, kind of, it's harder for me to learn a song if there's not too much repetition with it. So, but yeah, I think as far as like work tapes go, I think it's pretty dope, and I think you got something you can definitely play around with. I think if you got the right kind of like indie singer songwriter, like modern indie singer songwriter kind of a production on it, it could be pretty cool. So yeah, and I don't feel like this, this doesn't feel like a classic folk song at all. It feels like more like a modern kind of folk thing, which is good. It's cool. I love all the little vocal things. Just the timbre of your voice too, by the way. I've said it like twice. It's very unique, which unique is good. You want to play off that. Nice job. All right. So, next up, what do we got? Sarah Wetterau. Let's see. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Give me just a sec here. We'll get this going. This looks like a full production. And then copy this over. All right. Okay, got it. Here we go. Oh wait, let me just check and see what she was asking for notes on something. Let me see what it is. Open for changes. What to change to have it syncable. Okay, cool. I can do that.
You look like November. You look like November, all gray and already cold. You try to remember, but you never have been told. Oh, this town has a secret, a big ugly secret that I want you to know. But they won't get to keep it, that big ugly secret, they've got something to show. Keep your eyes open, your eyes. The truth knows who deserves to know. That's right, that's right. Keep your eyes open, your eyes. The truth knows who deserves to know. That's right, that's right. That's right, that's right. Right. That's right. We'll be sooner than later. Keep taking a breaker. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. The truth knows who deserves to know. That's right. That's right. Right.
Yeah, I love a lot of things about this track. I think it's pretty cool. Vocals cool. I feel like the lyrics are good. I feel that this song is it's like a treasure chest of little like bells and whistles and starts and stops and quirkiness. It's got kind of like 8-bit kind of stuff going on. It's got just a ton of cool hooks, and I think it's got a lot going for it. I think the thing for me, I was kind of with it until like the chorus, and for some reason the chorus didn't quite hit me the way I wanted the chorus to hit. It kind of felt like to me when the chorus hit that the drums were kind of sitting on top of everything, and the drum sounds were like kind of 8-bit drum machine when they could have been like more, they could have had like more meat to them. Like, I feel like that would be a cool contrast to kind of have this 8-bit kind of vibe and then have the drums come in when in the chorus and they're like kind of fuller and like maybe a little dirtier and they're not like on top of the mix. They're kind of like I feel like they could be seated a little better in the mix. Like I said, it kind of listens to, sounds like to me through headphones that the drums are kind of sitting on top of everything else, which I didn't love as like a kind of a mixing, from a mixing standpoint. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had to say is just, that I feel like there's something with that step up into the chorus that I feel like could be a little like feel a little heavier, feel a little fuller, a little more contrast between the two. I mean, the low end on this track doesn't feel like super satisfying to me. Sure. I think there's a few different ways in which you could continue to build on this track. I feel like you just have to like amplify the emotion a little bit more in the choruses and get like kind of the sound of it a little fuller and more satisfying. And I think you're gonna have something that you can pitch around for sure. I think it's a cool track, quirky, super quirky track, full of hooks, and I love the random. There's seeming like random starts and stops with it. Oh yeah, sorry, Sarah. Let me. I can unmute you. I think that's you. Hey, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. So I submitted the song, for the Indietronica briefing.
Yeah, and I think it certainly like fits that kind of category for sure.
And what I've been wondering is, because someone wrote as well, vocals can be sung with more energy, and I sang it on purpose without any energy, because that's like the Indietronica references. That's how they did it. So I wonder, because I guess this song didn't get chosen for it because I didn't hear anything back. Since it won't be for that submission, do you think I should sing the vocals with more energy again?
Oh, by the way, I haven't gone through everything yet. It's
Okay.
it's still in the process with that one. So
Okay.
I haven't heard, this is the first time I've heard this song. So just heads up with that. But yeah, as far as like more energy, that wasn't really the note that I had. I mean, that was what somebody else in the chat said. I don't really feel like that's the thing. For me, it's more like the step up from kind of the verse to the chorus. Doesn't feel like it kind of lifts up to the level that it lifted up. There's dynamics with it. I didn't really necessarily love where it landed personally. And I feel like there's ways in which you could kind of sit the mix a little differently that would probably work better. But maybe it has something to do also, like I was saying, with like the drums and kind of like maybe the drums selection and like kind of how it's all kind of gluing together. So that's my take on it.
And how and you are not referring to the melody at all in the chorus?
No, not at all. No, I think your melodies are, I mean, your melodies in general are very strong. And I like, I really do like a lot of what's happening here. And that's just where I feel like it could use a little TLC, is just making that chorus a little more special and finding ways that you can elevate it that maybe sounds a little less 8-bit. I think like that could be a cool jump to take it into a little bit more of a like fuller kind of sound in that part.
Got it. Okay, since you didn't go through the submissions yet, can I send you an updated version of that one?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing it. It's really cool. Like, everybody who's listening to this, you should take a listen to this track. I'm gonna, if it's cool, Sarah, I'll post the link so that people can check it out. Because there's a lot you can learn from this track in terms of like kind of quirky stuff that like starts and stops and just kind of adds up in like a very unique kind of way. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that everybody can learn from by listening to this. So thanks for submitting it, and look forward to hearing the version. Cool. So next up, let's see. Here we go. Okay, great. Got that one. All right, who's up next? Yeah, so just so everybody knows, like everybody, we have a couple groups that are going through the course right now. It's currently 2 groups that are going through the course, and everybody who's in the August cohort, we're walking you through something that's slightly different from what we've done in the past. People that are in a year-long course that we started teaching in January, they're at the stage right now where we are giving them certain submissions opportunities. So that's like so that there's no confusion over what's going on there. Every group's going to have opportunities to submit to stuff, but these are like specific opportunities to that group that where they're at in the course. So so that's what it is. So just so that there's no confusion over that. Yeah. So next up we got I mean, at the end of the day, we do things a little differently now, but we're also you know, we're just always like trying to help everybody get their stuff to where it's marketable and you have stuff in your library that you can pitch and feel pretty confident about taking it anywhere, whether you pitch it to Catch the Moon and we pitch it or you go somewhere else and do it. So next up we got Chelsea Oldmeadow. Let's see if you have any other songs in the queue. Nope, this is the only one. All right, so this is Sarah's great, by the way. Anybody who's looking for a cool vocalist and top liner, she's somebody you should definitely look to connect with. All right, so next, Like It, Love It. It looks like it's the name of the song. Let's go ahead and copy this over. Yeah, she's got songs that are way different than that too. But I think it's cool that you're flexing in different directions. This is what I'm talking about. Like, look, she's never really done anything like that before, and it's a really cool track. You never know until you try. All right, so this is up next. Let's see if I can find the window. Here we go.
Hey, you with the crazy moves, dancing like there's nobody in the room. I like it, I love it. I like it, I love it. Hey, you with the way you more curves in a bottle of cherry color. I like it, I love it. I like it, I love it. In a world where you can be anything, anything. Why don't you be yourself? Hey, you with the freaky style. I saw you coming from about a half a mile. I like it, I love it, I love it. Be anything.
Yeah, I kind of love that. It's great. I feel like it feels a little raw still, but I feel like the foundation is really solid. I felt like instantly when I turned it on, it instantly hit me that the fidelity of the recording is high. It comes out clear. The volume's really good. It sounds professional. I feel like, you know, in terms of like, I feel like the message of the song is great. It's definitely like something that's super ad friendly, fun. The way that she's singing it is so fun. I love the vocal. I think her vocal is amazing. Excuse me. I think the thing that I would do if I were you, that I would suggest is doing like some real gang vocals around this, like fun ones. You don't have to get like a choir or anything like that, but get like 3 people doing a gang and get the lead singer in on it too. And just do, instead of there's like a solo male vocalist that was coming in, I would do like gangs with that instead of the solo male vocalist. And then when the chorus comes in, I would like have a gang singing that whole thing. Yeah, I feel like you need more vocal depth and thickness to it in parts. And then there's like, it's just missing some ear candy. Like, I feel like there's all kinds of opportunities for delay throws and like little weird, quirky little sounds, guitar sounds, synth sounds. Don't clutter up the track unnecessarily, but I feel like there's like some cute little touches, little attitude, sassy, fun kind of touches you could put on a song like this that would really just kind of help elevate it to the next place. Because I feel like the foundation is already so good. You could probably roll without those, but if you added some of those tastefully, I think it could really help. And I'd have to give it another listen if I had any other feedback. But I mean, obviously, I'm a producer and I have ideas all day long. But I just want to say, before anything that I said, this is a really well produced track. I feel like the song is really strong. I feel like it's really great for ads. I feel like whoever top lined this did a great job. And I think that the production is like kind of a smash, in terms of like where it's starting. I just feel like it's the trick with this one is taking it across the finish line, adding the stuff to it that is not going to be too much, but give it enough that it keeps the listener's interest. I feel like every like 4 bars you could kind of shoot for like some type of addition or some type of slight shift. Usually it's like some type of slight addition, and then every 8 bars you kind of want to have like a big change that happens, whether it's a different section of the song or just like some big type of thing. I think that'll help to kind of, that's a guideline that I've been given by a few people, and it seems to work. When I say like a small shift every 4 bars, maybe you just add in like a new instrument of some type. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just something to kind of keep the interest of the listener, keep them latched in, keep them interested, and then keep them like, once again, like kind of spoon feeding them to the next thing. And I think you got something that you could pitch all day. I think it's great. So this is great work. I think whoever put this together should feel really good about themselves. Not that you should feel bad about yourself if you don't, if you weren't the person writing this song, but you have reason to celebrate if you put this song together. Chelsea Oldmeadow is the name of the person who submitted it. I don't know if she produced that as well, but I thought she did a great job. And like I said before, I'm going to be copying and pasting all this list into the chat so y'all can have it at the end of the call. Well, that was great. Next up, we got Lois May. This song looks like it's on Spotify, so we'll see when this was made. Let's see. This was 2018. Okay. It looks like I may have spun one of her songs before, but we're gonna do it anyways. It's gonna be okay. Let's see. I can't remember if it was this song that we played or if it was on here that we played it, but like I said, stuff like this, we're probably starting next week. We're going to be skipping just because it looks like it was produced in 2018, and we want to kind of open the way for stuff that was produced much more recently, preferably stuff that's been produced like during the course, so that we can get more eyes on and ears on the stuff that that's being made like right now for sync. So, but without further ado, let's copy this over and then we'll get the song spinning and you'll get my old humble 2 cents on it. Okay. Yeah, work tapes are okay. I just think that like if you're gonna submit a work tape, make sure it's like a finished song. Make sure and there have been a couple work tapes that I've played today. Notice how much time and care was taken into the recording of those work tapes. They aren't just like somebody turning on a phone and singing into it. So I think that that's the bar that should be held up in terms of that. All right, so let's give this a spin.
Second chance at love. Ooh, second chance at love. A shaky stone.
Yeah, I think it's a well-produced song. I feel like the production values on it are pretty high. The instrumental performances are great. I think the jazzy kind of vocal. It's a good vocal performance. I feel like. I think the main issues for a song like this with Sync are how many times are they looking for a type of like kind of jazzy lounge singer, kind of crooner, kind of jazzy vibe with like modern production. Not that often. Usually when they're looking for that kind of music, they're looking for something that sounds a little grittier, sounds a little they're just usually looking for a different style of jazzy music that I've seen. And then I think like some of the lyrics with this are going to really limit its potential for placement. I know this sounds like it was. I remember one of the lyrics was like something like "decades passed us by," and it's talking about like how having a second chance at love. When the decades passing by means like decades passed us by, it kind of makes it really limits it to like, okay, it'd be like a scene where like somebody who's older would have like a second chance to fall in love with somebody, and that might sound like something that would happen kind of frequently, but I think like in TV and stuff, I think it's like a very specific type of situation, and they might be better off just like picking a song that's about like let's try again, or love again, or I'm in love again, or I've fallen in love. I didn't think I could fall in love again, but I have, and it's like less attached to like the age of the person. So yeah, I think that some of the lyrics are a little too specific for a lot of pitches that you would want for kind of like the concept of this song. And then I just feel like production wise, I feel while the production is like really good, you can tell the quality of the recording is high, and they had like some really good session people involved with this. And the vocals are good too. Just that just kind of the overall production direction feels a little bit. I just don't hear a lot of like requests for this type of music. So it'd be like a matter of like, if this is the style that you really feel comfortable in doing, you should probably look into like some references that kind of employ kind of a jazzy style in our landing syncs. And in that research, you'll probably find some potential avenues for artists you could collaborate with, or just if you want to do it yourself too, get like the crew together, but maybe take a different tact with it overall with the production and the right songwriting direction. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on this song in terms of like how it pertains to licensing. So thanks for sharing it. Next up, we got, check this out. This is Lala Deaton is up next. If Girls Ruled the World. I think I've heard this song before. Chat, can you tell me if you've heard this song before? If Girls Ruled the World. Okay, so we're gonna Lala, we're gonna skip this for now because I believe we've heard this before. We're gonna give everybody else a chance to have a song screened. Kindaba Wilson, I think is how you say that. SoundCloud. Okay, cool. This is 2 years old. That's all right. Well, we're gonna screen everything this week. Like I said, next week it's gonna be a different story. But this is just because I want to give some fair warning to people. Like I said before, it's like it's not about like having your own song screened either. Like there's so much you can learn just by hearing everybody else's songs. And hopefully like over the course of these many months that we're spending together, you're kind of getting an idea of like all the different things that you kind of want to check off in terms of what you want your songs to sound like, in terms of professionalism, in terms of writing, and all that jazz. So all that jazz, right? Just listen to some jazz music. Okay, so next up. All right. So this, did I copy and paste that? Nope, I did not. Okay. I have to remind myself like every time. Okay. Here we go.
got time, red wine. Sit back, this moment's all mine. I'm not wondering if maybe I'm not waiting for somebody to come save me, 'cause I'm happy on my own. I'm happy alone. I'm happy on my own. I got no FOMO. The night is shining, but I'm happy on my own tonight. I'm happy on my own. But I'm happy on my own. Happy alone. I'm happy on my own.
Hey, cool. So I feel like a track like this, it feels like a soul kind of R&B kind of thing. I think there was some interesting like instrumental stuff going on there. It was really hard to hear any of it though, because it feels like the entire track is kind of hard filtered in some kind of way. There's like some type of, I can't tell, it's like a vinyl effect or something like that. Maybe some type of vinyl effect that's going on, because I heard a couple crackly things, but then there were a couple very loose things in the production later on that made me think, well, maybe this is just like noise floor kind of stuff. Yeah, I felt like the track felt so when I was saying it's like filtered, the whole track felt kind of dead in a way. Like it didn't feel like vibrant and like up close. Yeah, I'm not sure, John. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but it's but there's also something with the way the vocal is it kind of feels like the vocal's sitting on top of it a little bit, versus like the vocal kind of baked into the entire track. But then also the track just kind of feels like I'm having a hard time like kind of picking out some of the stuff. Like it's lost a lot of the definition. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but I feel like as far as like some of the concepts of the song, I feel like there's some good melodies, there's some good instrumental stuff that's going on in it. I can't tell, like some of the stuff might be samples, some of the stuff might be real. I think the bass is real. Actually, I know the bass is real because I heard a couple times where it really kind of stuck out. It was like there was like some type of a I don't know, I can't remember the name of the technique that was used, but it felt like almost like a slap kind of thing, but it was like really out of the pocket, or like it kind of stuck out of the mix a lot. So I know that there are like at least a few elements of real live instruments on this. But I feel like just the overall, so getting back to like the main reason I'm saying that is like, you know, the fidelity, the quality of the recording is just so important. And you got to know that the people that are listening to this type of music and they love this type of music, they're going to be expecting like this rich, full, you know, you can hear the instruments. They're there. It's cool to have like some vibey stuff, but I think there's like too much cloudiness that's happening with this entire production that kind of makes it sound, it just doesn't quite hit the bar that you want it to hit production wise. And then, yeah, it was just like, I heard the noise floor a couple times. I think in terms of the vocal delivery, I feel like there's a couple times where it kind of strays into that kind of vibrato that I'm talking about. That's not the best kind. The kind where you're just kind of holding on to notes a little too long, and it kind of sounds a little bit dated. But I feel like, you know, and I didn't have a chance to really listen through all the lyrics. I think some of the melodies are good. Some of the top line melodies are cool. But yeah, I was trying to figure out for the most part when I was listening to the song what was going on with the production on this, because it kind of stuck out to me like right away. And that's probably what's going to happen to most people who hear this. So I feel like for licensing, it's definitely not in a place right now where I'd feel very confident pitching it. But I feel like, you know, there's certainly like a market for this type of music. Obviously, you'd probably want to research who your references are in terms of like what's working right now in terms of licensing. in this style of music, and then write songs that are more in alignment with what the themes and stuff that typically tend to get used. I'm not sure that the theme of this, it could work. I think a theme like this, Happy Alone, could be a theme that could work, but maybe it would need to be set up a little differently. I don't know. I would just, I'd definitely be doing a deep dive on the references, which you probably have. It looks like this was produced 2 years ago. And if this is the angle you kind of want to take, this kind of area of music, you know, that's an option for you. I feel like this area of music, there's a lot of opportunity for you in terms of potentially making music that could be pitched and landed. So yeah, I just think that's my thoughts on it. Production needs a little help here, I feel like. Thanks for sharing it. Next up, all right, we got time for at least a few more. I got a hard, I got to leave at 3:30, so I might have to take off just a couple minutes before, but Allie Davis, there's 2 songs in here, so I think I remember you telling me that you had 2 songs in, so we're going to just play the most recent one that you submitted. Here we go. Mint colored glass thing. Oh, the shabby chic dresser. Yeah, I've got a couple pieces of furniture here. I can actually show you real quick. I know, might as well just show you. I got my new setup in here. Yeah, so I've got this shabby chic dresser, and then I've got a bar that's also shabby chic. This is my new couch. I got my new couch, and yeah, so it's all starting to come together. Yeah, the hutch, I literally just got that over. And I did find a roommate. Apparently somebody who I played dodgeball with him a long time ago. Cool dude. Yeah, actually it didn't take long to find a roommate at all. I really wasn't worried about it, but you know. Thanks. Yeah. I'm no expert at interior design, but my instincts aren't awful when it comes to it, so I'll take that. All right, so next, Allie, we're gonna go ahead and spin this now. Finished master of the instrumental, comment on syncability. Okay, great. Let's give it a spin. Let's share it. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I feel like as an instrumental cue, it's not quite working. at least for my taste. I feel like it's, and I think it mostly has to do with your sample selection, like your synth selections and maybe your drum selections a little bit. I mean, this all sounds programmed. And I think that's part of the issue is it all sounds super programmed to me. It feels a little stiff, feels a little, just the sound sample, like the selection of the samples, they aren't quite gluing together. I feel like is part of it too. And some of that has to do with the mix. I feel like there's a lot of low end that's getting like dispersed across the stereo space. That's kind of muddying stuff up, and making it hard to, kind of for the other stuff to kind of get its like attention. I feel like there's kind of and when I'm saying like the sample, it doesn't feel edgy enough. It doesn't feel like, it feels like this is a track that like is trying to like up the stakes, maybe create some tension. And I feel like it's not really like the synth isn't like that dark synth doesn't feel like edgy enough. It feels like it's kind of almost like 8-bit a little bit. It feels a little too like, it feels almost cute the way it kind of comes in. Whereas like, you know, nowadays, like stuff like this, you might need to find a way to get some stuff that has a little bit more bite to it. I feel like is part of it, and then a little more bite, a little more grit, a little more fullness, and then build that, you know, really get your drums like going in like a really thick, cool way, and then start to like build around that, like is what I might suggest. I think the orchestral stuff in particular sounds very programmed, and I feel like it's probably not going to, like, just that once again, maybe the library that you're using is not really like hitting the level that it needs to. A lot of times what I'll do is if I'm using, like, I do this a lot where I'll use like programmed stuff. I'll use some programmed like strings, like cello or violins or just even like orchestral kind of hits. But then what I'll do is I'll bring in like a real cellist. I'll bring in like a real string violinist to like basically add some reality to it, add some like fullness. And then you can also blend that with like synths that are maybe they aren't even like string synths, like which synths that kind of give like those orchestral hits kind of a little more weight. I feel like that's for a track like this that feels like it's trying to like build some like intrigue and some tension. That's kind of what you want, is like sounds that are a little bit more edgy and a little bit more like full. And I feel like, yeah, like for the reasons I explained earlier, it feels like there's some mixed stuff that's kind of causing some muddying up across the stereo space. But I think it's also the samples that are being selected and just kind of how they're all gluing together. But yeah, I would just honestly, if I were you, I would just go out and study the stuff that's landing, like study trailers, study TV shows, see what kind of cues they're using. Another thing you can do that can be really helpful is literally just go to music libraries. Most of them allow you to literally just directly search their library for different types of cues that you would want to use. Some of them you have to sign up as potentially a vendor or something like that. And most of the time it's free. So you could do that, and it'd be good research for you to go through music libraries and see what the competition is doing, do a little research around that. And I think if you do enough searching around, you'll kind of hear what I'm talking about. I'm not an expert when it comes to this type of music. Most of the stuff I do is vocal music, but vocal songs, like not really cues, but I've heard enough cues, and I know people who do it really well. This is just my humble opinion around all of it, what I feel is kind of lacking with this one. But thanks for sharing it. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sales that are going on for Black Friday, including plugins. Waves is already selling some stuff for cheap. John, we definitely have a lot of contacts with trailer houses, and we definitely send out samplers to them. Yes, we do pitch to trailer houses. We don't get a ton of briefs that come in specifically for specific trailers, but we do pitch to trailer houses. All right, next up. Okay, next up, Daniel McKenzie. Oh, track's been removed. Okay, well, next up, Kim Jovanov. Kim Jovanov. This one looks like it's called Inspire. Let's see. All right, got at least time for a couple more. Here we go.
I know it's been hard. I can tell by those scars. But please don't give up. You're worth so much more. I'll inspire you and you'll inspire them. They inspire us, it all comes back again and again and again. Ooh, you're gonna inspire. Ooh, you'll inspire. Choose to inspire. Keep the world going round and round and round. I want to inspire you. Let that fire inside of you watch you glow and see those fears go up in smoke. Let 'em burn. Let 'em burn and burn and burn. Ooh, you're gonna inspire. The more we connect, the stronger we'll get. I'll inspire you and you'll inspire them. They inspire us, it all comes back again and again and again. Here.
I think for this, so I talked earlier about how important it is to kind of notch out, specifically with vocal recordings, how important it is to notch out stuff that you don't want in the recording, just frequency wise. And this is kind of a perfect example of a vocal that has some parts of the vocal are going to feel like, if you isolate them, are going to feel like nails going down a chalkboard, which is not to say that the singing is bad. It's to say that the way in which it's recorded and the way that the singer is singing, the voice plus the microphone plus the interface plus the room, all this stuff is adding up to a vocal that is that has like some parts of the vocal are really like harsh sounding to me. So it's one of those things where it's almost like, because these frequencies are in there and they aren't like they haven't been notched, they haven't been addressed. It's a little like especially in some parts, it's very pronounced, because there's certain parts where like the vocalist is going into a specific frequency range with the vocal line, with the top line, and it's when she's hitting those parts, it's very pronounced. Just kind of how sharp and kind of edgy the vocal gets, not in like a pleasing way, like kind of in a, ooh, that's so production wise, definitely need to dial that in. I feel like the acoustic guitar in the beginning is well recorded. I really thought that like off the bat that it sounds well recorded. And so I liked that. I feel like the vocal, just the vibe of the vocal was kind of intense over the acoustic when it first comes in. I feel like it's like the mood that you're creating with the instrumental, you want the vocal to kind of like be along with that. And I felt like the contrast between like, it was almost like too intense for the very mellow acoustic guitar. And then I noticed there were a few points where the vocal was very prominently out of the pocket. So staying in the rhythmic pocket is really important. Here's where I think like out of everything, there's actually a couple things. I feel like the production wise, it's once again going back to references and kind of like straying away from like kind of a folk rock dated kind of acoustic sound and figuring out like what are your modern day references, like where are you drawing your inspiration for production from, and how can you pivot your production so it's more in alignment with that direction, because I just don't see a lot of briefs looking for this type of music in the way that it's being produced here. And then the other thing that I feel like really could help here is just relooking at the top line and getting a fresher take on the subject matter. I feel like when I talk about cliches are a thing that you feel like it's like kind of a dreaded word and you're like, oh geez, like it's the last thing you want to hear. But the thing is like, it's true. Like if I've heard something 100 times before, the emotional impact that it has on my ears is going to be much lower. And in fact, so many phrases in our language have become like almost meaningless in a way. Like the phrase, I love you, it means so much. I've said this so many times, like if I'm sitting across from somebody, I tell them that I love them, the potential is there for that to have a lot of meaning and significance to them. But when we hear that in a song, we don't have that same feeling around that, because it's one of those things where I love you has been like, it's so ingrained in our culture, and it's so, we want like a fresher take on that. We want to find a way of saying I love you that isn't like what we've said for eternity and eternity. So the best songs I think you'll find if you listen to the best stuff on the radio and the best stuff that's getting used for sync, consistently good, fresh lyrics that take whatever topic it is you're talking about and really kind of give a new fresh approach to it. So I feel like, you know, I don't want to like identify too many. I heard a couple lines though. There's some like that fire, that fire inside of you. I think that's a perfect example of like kind of a cliche lyric. It's like the fire in you is like something that everybody, I mean, it's like probably been around for as long as songwriting has been around, I would guess. And that's just one line out of like, I consistently noticed that there's probably, there's opportunities throughout the song where there could be like a fresher take. And then the thing is like, you know, it could be a thing where you bring in a lyricist to help out with that. Lyricist is their job to kind of come approach it with like a fresh take. And so that's like, anytime I see something like this, it's like, yeah, you could try to freshen it up yourself, but I might actually suggest to anybody who has like production issues to take it to get somebody involved in the production side of things to kind of freshen up your approach to producing. If it's like a lyrics thing, bring in somebody to help out with the lyrics. Find somebody in the group that writes amazing lyrics and say, hey, do you want to work together on this song? You know, these are the types of collaborations that I really want to see people doing, because I just know in my own writing that it really helps. And I do stuff as a team now. You know, there's some things that are super in my lane, and there are some things that are not so much in my lane. And the things that are not so much in my lane, I defer to people who are way better at it than I am. And the thing that happens once you embrace that and you start building those kinds of relationships is that magic starts to happen, because then you're not just like, you're building a team. And that's what it's all about. You really want to have a team with this. It helps a lot to do that. So I would say like anybody who I've, you know, I mean, I'm pretty good when it comes to lyrics. It's one of my skill sets that I've really put like the 10,000 hours in and then some into. So anybody who I say, like, I feel like they got good lyrics, I mean, those might be people worth approaching. Anytime I say like some of the lyrics are cliche in a song, it's something that happens from time to time. But just like start just start putting it out there. I feel like you know, I want to say this every time, but it's like anytime I say like it could use some help with production, it could use some help with lyrics. These are just opportunities for you to introduce yourself to somebody and maybe extend a branch out to them and say, hey, do you want to work on this? I'd love to collab with you. So start building your team out a little more. Might make your songs better. You know, I would say like at least have an open mind about it, because you know, if you don't, you might be missing out. You know, if you feel like you got to do it all yourself, well, you might have to learn a lot more about it to get it to where you want to shape it around to. You know, when I was here in LA, I really wish I'd gotten couple writers involved, because I didn't really know how to write a song at all when I first moved here. And I think who knows, maybe I'd be playing big stages somewhere if I had had a different mindset about it back when I was way younger. But that's neither here nor there. But I just like to pass that along to anybody who's at this, at whatever stage they're at, where they feel like they might be able to improve on some aspect of their writing. Okay, so I think that's probably going to be about all we have for this week. We'll do one more quickly here. Let's do one more. All right, so let me just, first off, I'm gonna just copy all of these into the chat so that you have them. So anybody who wants these, please, and also if you wouldn't mind just sharing it with the group, I would appreciate it. Just on the Facebook group would be pretty rad. I don't know why it's not letting me copy paste. Hang on a sec. Copy, paste. All right, it did this one other time before. I don't know why it does this sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't let me copy and paste it in there. I will paste it later when the replay happens. But yeah, let's play one more, and then we'll call it a day. Thanks again for sharing all your gifts. It's a real honor for me to be able to spin your music, and hopefully it helps you out to hear my take on it. All right, here we go. Scott Fletcher.
Leave the light on, light inside your heart. Like a beacon, shining in the dark. Lead me back home, love and have it from the start. Bring the light out, starlight dancing in your eyes. Swing of the music, sweet.
Yeah, so my take on this one, my quick take, because that's all I got the time for, is just to maybe talk about this for a minute. I feel like it's some of the same feedback that I've been given before. I feel like this is pretty well recorded. It sounds like the fidelity is good. Feels like the emotion, you can hear there's like good emotion in the vocalist. The way they're delivering the song. I feel like this overall sound of this kind of acoustic rock kind of feels like a little Clapton type vibe, and I just don't really see a lot of briefs looking for this type of music. So I think that's the thing with a song like this. It's like, how can you take the gifts that are obviously present in the creation of this song and steer them in a more like marketable modern direction? I feel like. If you really wanted to go for like type of like background kind of bar scene kind of music, I feel like you should, you could certainly go that direction with this type of music. Could be potentially a place that you could pitch something like this. But I feel like those types of placements aren't necessarily the ones that that like background music is cool. You know, it's cool to do that, but those don't typically pay a ton either. So it's like, it's one of those things where you got to think of like, what kind of music are you trying to make? If you want to make the bar scene kind of music, you might even have to tailor your music to make it even more sound like classic rock kind of stuff. It really just depends, because some of those bar scenes, they're now getting more specific about the types of music that they want in the bar scene, depending on like what state it's in, or like what era it is, or things like that. So yeah, sure. You know, I mean, I'm sure you could pitch a song like this around, and somebody who's looking for some kind of blues rock, kind of classic kind of rock vibe, you know, they might be able to pitch this for stuff. But I think like moving forward, you might want to think of how you could take your skills and your gifts and maybe steer them in a direction that might be a little more marketable, just in terms of like, you know, if you wanted to kind of go beyond like kind of the bar scene kind of stuff. Well, the mix, you make a good point. The reverb on the vocal in particular kind of stuck out to me a little bit, maybe not in the best way. Kind of felt like it was a little dated. In particular, the reverb on the vocal. But that was just my quick take on it. Thanks again, everybody, for sharing your songs, and we'll keep doing this again next week. And but I got a jet. Sorry. Have a good one.